Our employees are really proud to support United Way of King County. Whether it's donating, volunteering, or joining events, our employees are inspired by your dedication to issues, and they also take pride in knowing that together we're making positive changes.
This is Hourglass, the podcast for United Way of King County in Seattle. Coming up, a discussion on corporate and nonprofit partnerships, spotlighting our work in communities with Seattle-based fashion retailer Nordstrom. We'll also spotlight an upcoming happy hour and hellos event and discuss a local volunteer opportunity. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for tuning in. April is National Volunteer Month, and during this month, Seattle-based fashion retailer Nordstrom is engaging its employees through a series of volunteer efforts aimed at strengthening the local community. On April 10th, for example, more than a dozen Nordstrom employees visited Highline College in Des Moines for a volunteer activity at the United Way of King County Benefits Hub, an on-campus resource at 10 local colleges that provides students with services such as food access, grocery delivery, utility bill assistance, housing supports, and emergency grant help. The Nordstrom employees supported a supply drive for students transitioning into housing. They organized donations, created welcome cards, and helped students with essential campus and community resources. It is one example of how the global retailer makes a local impact. For decades, Nordstrom has been a steadfast supporter of United Way of King County and a leader in service to our communities during National Volunteer Month and all year long. Nordstrom's commitment to education and community impact extends beyond direct program support. In honor of Blake Nordstrom, Nordstrom's co-president, respected community leader, and philanthropist who passed away in 2019, United Way of King County and Nordstrom established the Blake Nordstrom Scholarship. Each year, this scholarship awards 20 college students $5,000 each to help them complete their degrees. Since 2018, Nordstrom has played a crucial role in supporting our Bridge to Finish program, which comprises our benefits hubs. Through Nordstrom's ongoing support, Bridge to Finish continues to provide essential resources for students at our local community colleges. More than half of those students live below the poverty line, making it a struggle for many to stay in school. Corporate volunteerism has a powerful impact, fostering connection, driving meaningful change, and strengthening our community. We are grateful for partners like Nordstrom, whose commitment to service and philanthropy makes a lasting difference. On April 23rd, about 150 Nordstrom employees will gather at their downtown office to participate in a kit building project. As they learn more about Bridge to Finish, they will assemble 1,000 food kits, which will be distributed across all Benefits Hub sites to support students facing food insecurity. On the eve of that gathering, Hourglass sat down with John Bailey, Nordstrom's Senior Manager of Community Engagement and Corporate Events, and Samantha Anderson, United Way Corporate Stewardship Manager for Institutional Philanthropy. We discussed how our corporate nonprofit partnership has made a meaningful impact in our community. Here's that conversation, beginning with John, who discussed some of the origins of Nordstrom's involvement with and support of United Way of King County.
Well, to start off, Seattle has been our home since 1901. And as a company, we have been committed to doing our part to make sure our city, our community, and our people thrive. We've been a longstanding supporter of United Way of King County, and our partnership spans several decades. And we've engaged in activities including financial donations, employee volunteerism programs, participation in community events aimed at addressing issues from everything from education, homelessness, financial stability, and health. We're really proud to support United Way of King County's Bridge to Finish program, which provides underserved college students with the resources they need to stay in college and graduate.
And so how do you encourage your employees to show up there for their community?
There's a couple different ways that we do it. I think to start off, we try to embed in our employees, one of our most important responsibilities is giving back to the communities where we live and work. So if you're based in Seattle, we hope that you'll give back to your community in Seattle. If you live in one of our in state of Florida where we have stores, we hope that you'll give back to communities there as well. Our focus from a social impact and philanthropic standpoint is really focused on providing basic needs, food, shelter, and clothing, as well as creating opportunities for youth and families. As a company, each year we support a number of organizations, both nationally as well as locally. From a national perspective, we have supported organizations like Shoes That Fit, which provides brand new sneakers to children in need. And that's kind of a neat partnership because Nordstrom started out as a shoe store in 1901. And so our employees get really excited to get back to that. And every year we have events where our employees will actually go into the schools and give those kids brand new sneakers. We partnered with organizations like Operation Warm during the holiday season to provide kids with brand new winter coats. And then locally, we partner with organizations like you all, United Way of King County, and we have been doing that for quite a while.
So, Samantha, how would you define a strong partnership between a nonprofit and a corporate supporter like a Nordstrom?
Yeah, I think the basic definition I would give is these two entities willing to work together to drive long-term change. I think the key there is a strong partnership is built on certain things like shared values, mutual goals, and specifically like long-term commitment. I think that's what really brings our partnerships with our institutional partners from more of a transactional relationship to a transformative relationship. That investment in not only financial contributions, but also like active collaboration, being thought partners with each other, having transparent communication, and striving for meaningful outcomes. And the commitment that you'll work together for not just, one day a year on one thing. It's more of a relationship. Like, everything is built around building the relationship between the company and the nonprofit to understand, who can offer what based on their strengths. So when we think about a good corporate partner, they probably have financial resources or space that we can use for certain events and things like that. And with United Way of King County and other nonprofits, we have a lot of relationships with organizations in the community. And I think those two entities have their strengths that they can both leverage to make it a meaningful, impactful relationship and sustainable. Yeah.
Yeah. And with all our other partners, the nonprofits, government sector, how does the corporate partnership make a difference in their impact?
United Way's connections and relationships in the community are the foundation of our work, like you just said, not only with about 140 nonprofit partners, but also with legislators, individual community leaders who care about, where they serve and where they work, volunteers, and specifically what you asked, our corporate partners. I think one thing that is able to make a big impact is the fact that corporations have influence. They're able to use their kind of power and standing and brand reputation in the community in order to raise awareness of certain issues that they care about and where they identify where their employees serve and where they think they can kind of use their resources to make that difference and make an impact. Specifically, corporate partnerships, they provide critical funding, volunteer support, advocacy efforts. That's a huge one with United Way of King County. We focus a lot on advocacy and focusing on public policy work. And I think having corporate partners that are able to have those type of conversations and talk about things like systemic change is really key to our work, as well as things like addressing immediate needs and volunteerism. I think when I think about corporate partnerships that have been really successful, I think about adaptability, I think about sustainability, and I think about being creative with each other. Having a strong relationship between a nonprofit and a corporate partner is reliant on centering like the humanness of the relationship. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think that can sometimes get lost in the conversation. And I think that is a huge thing to highlight. Specifically, when I think about Nordstrom's partnership, I think about what John talked about with their investment in the Bridge to Finish program. They were there at the very beginning in 2018, whenever we launched the Bridge to Finish program. And they have been supporting this program in a massive way for the past, I don't know how many years it's been, 7 years now of supporting Bridge to Finish. And, that program has now served over 22,000 unique students throughout King County. And that's a huge impact. These are students that maybe would have dropped out of their college program without certain supports that they've gotten from that program. And so making that sort of investment at the beginning of a bold initiative like Bridge to Finish makes a difference when it comes to sustainability and being able to continue on serving the people that need it.
So, John, I think I read somewhere there's about 25,000 nonprofits in Seattle, Tacoma.
I had no idea.
Yeah. When you talk to your staff about giving back to United Way, what do they say? What do you hear?
They say a lot of great things. Our employees are really proud to support United Way of King County. They, whether it's donating, volunteering, or joining events, our employees are inspired by your dedication to issues. And they also take pride in knowing that together we're making positive changes in people's lives.
Okay. And so how do those employee passions influence how your company gives back, where your company gives back? Where do you want to see yourselves in this community?
Our employees are very generous, and we saw this firsthand during the LA wildfires earlier this year. Our teams were very eager to help, and when we provided both giving and volunteering opportunities, there was overwhelming support. They made significant contributions to the nonprofits that were doing the work in Southern California and really giving back to the community. We held a donation drive and filled 4 pallets of basic needs that we knew were needed, and we were able to get that down to Los Angeles. As a company, we engage our people through an employee match program, which is a benefit that doubles donations as well as matched volunteer hours at $15 an hour. And so every employee has up to $5,000 annually they're able to give. Additionally, just from a volunteer thing, you mentioned that as well. And our employees have been incredibly vocal with us, and we're lucky that our employees are vocal, and they've shared with us that they want to volunteer in their local communities. So we built a program. So for the first time, we're supporting Global Volunteer Month in April, and our goal is to create more engagement through about 25 volunteer activities across our larger markets with our existing partners, including United Way of King County.
So we'll ask the two of you kind of variation of the same question, beginning with Sam. What challenges are we seeing and anticipating as an organization in this work?
Yeah, I think nobody will be surprised to hear the word uncertainty come from my mouth. Uncertainty not only in federal funding and things coming from the federal level, but also uncertainty when we talk about the economy. We're kind of anticipating a change in donation levels when it comes to individuals and corporations adjusting their priorities in which they give, and kind of either stopping their donations out of fear or things like that. And there's a need for innovative engagement strategies as well. I think the evolving workplace dynamics has been a huge thing that we've seen since COVID. It's been, 5 years since the pandemic started, and we're still kind of figuring out what that in-office, out-of-office hybrid workspace looks like. So I think the focus on remote work is an opportunity, but also a challenge when it comes to getting face-to-face with employees and, bringing them into spaces. There's a lot more kind of barrier there than there used to be several years ago. So it can be a little bit more complex on the volunteerism part. And then going back to what I said about the uncertainty in federal funding, I think it's some percentage, I think 30% of nonprofits nationally get some sort of federal funding annually. And that's a lot. That's a third, yes. And so it's really scary being in a situation where we're not sure what's going to happen day to day. We don't know if there's going to be a federal funding freeze like there was for a day in January, things like that. And so I think it's taking nonprofit leaders like way much more of their time to carry out. They're not able to focus on carrying out like their mission focused work because they are, in this state of getting sidetracked, figuring out how to respond to government orders and federal announcements, things like that. And I think that is not a new issue, but it's definitely the most pressing that I'm thinking of right now. Because we know that federal funding is a huge part of our work, specifically United Way. I think about during COVID, we had a huge influx of federal support for things like rental assistance and food security. We were able to launch our home grocery delivery program because we had this huge influx of funding. And, we now don't have that funding because the public health crisis is over, but we're still seeing that need even greater than before when it comes to immediate needs. So, that's what I think about.
Great. And so, Joe, what issues do you see that you feel are the most pressing in the region? And how's it affecting your work and your giving decisions? And then how are you addressing those issues?
In Washington State, we know that homelessness and access to affordable housing are among the most critical issues impacting our community. And we're focused on partnering with organizations to prevent homelessness and support youth and families by providing those basic needs, food, shelter, and clothing. We're also engaged with groups like Challenge Seattle and other organizations working to address these pressing challenges and support the communities we serve. We know as a company, it's our responsibility that we need to listen to and address the most pressing needs of our hometown community.
And then I just want you to think about the time that you've done this work. Are there any stories, any people, any that really touch you and say, you know what, that's why I do this?
Yeah, I'll start by saying, I've worked at Nordstrom for more than 30 years, and I've seen firsthand the impact we can have on the community when we all come together. I remember a few years ago, I had the privilege of supporting an event in Los Angeles that we organized in partner with Shoes That Fit. And during the event, our mission was to provide brand new sneakers to all the kids at the event. And we were able to give every student a new pair of shoes. And as the event was wrapping up, one of the employees assisting with the event came up to me. And he had shared with me how grateful he was to be a part of the event. And then he revealed something truly touching, that he had been one of the children who received shoes from Shoes That Fit when he was a student. And I have to tell you, it left a profound impact on me. And in my new role supporting in community engagement, I think about that story a lot and the power of that. And it's a moment I'll never forget.
I wanted to tie it to you as well. So that just to do start what is something that you just really say, we're glad to be here in this time?
Oh, man. I'm grateful every day to work for United Way of King County. I think I've been here for 3 years and I've been in multiple different roles. And I think specifically what I have learned from working here is there is hope to change things that, maybe look a little bit harder to change. Things take time, and the people that we work with, the people we work alongside with in the community and within United Way of King County are so brilliant and so resilient and, willing to say, I'm going to put in the work and the brain power and the time now to, make those little changes along the way in order to see, eventually systemic change and kind of changing, why are these needs present in the first place? What are the policies that have created these discrepancies in, wealth or asset building, things like that? And so I think that is a huge reason why I feel lucky to work for United Way.
So how can employees in other companies get involved with United Way or get involved with giving back to your communities?
Yeah, when I think about employees and companies getting involved in their communities, I think about it in three different kind of groups. In terms of individual employees, I think about things like, United Way, we run workplace giving campaigns every single year where employees can kind of band together and raise money for either United Way or other nonprofits that are meaningful to them individually. And it's an opportunity to engage with your coworkers in a different way and kind of find out what people are passionate about. And I think that is an amazing opportunity, as well as engage in volunteer opportunities. I think one thing is United Way of King County. If you go on our website, we have this volunteer platform that is full of volunteer opportunities across King County, across, hundreds of our community partner organizations, that you can find something that is meaningful to you and kind of speaks to what you want to get involved in as an individual. And then also, I think one of the biggest ways to kind of tap into getting involved in your community through your company is through employee resource groups or employee social groups. Oftentimes, those type of groups at companies will do, volunteer opportunities, and they will kind of focus on what that group specifically wants to get engaged with. And I think that is an amazing avenue for employees to get involved at their company. And then I think on the company level, you can support United Way by sponsoring our programs, our events, organizing corporate group volunteer days, which Nordstrom's doing during April, like John said. Things like matching employee donation programs, and specifically with volunteer hours. I think that is a huge benefit, and it encourages employees to use their company time to give back with their time and resources. And I think that makes a huge difference. And then the last thing that I would say is getting leadership at companies engaged, specifically, people serving on boards. Find a committee, find a board that at an organization that you're passionate about, and use your talent and your time in order to kind of invest yourself and your expertise into another organization, whether it be United Way of King County or something else. So
awesome. Thank you, John. Thank you, Sam. Really appreciate your.
For more information about Nordstrom's philanthropic and community engagement work, log on to its Nordstrom.com website and click on Corporate Social Responsibility. Baseball is back, and the Seattle Mariners are hosting a United Way of King County Happy Hour and Hellos event. The event is slated for May 27th at Hit It Here Cafe inside T-Mobile Park. Our Happy Hour and Hello series gives local professionals opportunities to network over brews and bites, learn about the work of United Way of King County, and discover ways to get involved. The May 27th event at T-Mobile Park begins at 5:30 p.m. For more information, log on to uwkc.org/events.
Interested in a volunteer opportunity? Sound Generations is seeking volunteers to join its Meals on Wheels program. Located in Seattle, Sound Generations promotes the social, emotional, and physical well-being of older adults through a network of community connections and services. Sound Generations Meals on Wheels program provides well-balanced, nutritious, ready-to-eat meals each week, with home delivery and specialized options like vegetarian and kosher meals. As a Meals on Wheels volunteer, you'll be part of a team that delivers meals to homebound seniors. Sound Generations is looking for drivers and meat packers to support deliveries in SeaTac. For more information, log on to soundgenerations.org.
At United Way of King County, we are working side by side with communities to build an equitable future for everyone. Hourglass United Way is a podcast that highlights how we and our partners spend time making a difference in our communities. Our work is made possible by the generous donations from people like you. Please send comments and suggestions about our podcast to hourglassunitedway@gmail.com. To learn more about our work or to support United Way, log on to uwkc.org. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for listening. Until next time.